Oh, you already know who's gonna win. Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to another episode of Podcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Oh God, my voice is shot. Probably from streaming 2 days straight and then teaching and then videos. But it's okay, I'm sure the vocal cords will come back. Grossi, and today we're going to be taking a look and doing some predictions for the NFC East. Should be fun. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout out and thank you to a brand new patron and YouTube member. First, over on the Patreon side of things, we have Aaron Rodgers will stay and continue making NFC North fans cry. Now that's a patron I can believe in. And over on the YouTube side of things, we have Out Missing Class. You better not be. A big shout out and thank you to the both of you. So we're going to be doing the same exact thing as we did with the NFC North yesterday. Instead of diving into every single game, I'm going to go through each of these teams' schedules, point out where I think there's most likely going to be losses, and also identify where they could go either way. Then from there, I'll give you their ceiling and then where they're most likely going to average out if you took those 50-50 matchups and basically just split them in half. So let's start off with the reigning, defending NFC East champions, which is like being king of garbage, but you're still king. The Washington football team, otherwise known as the Washington Wildflowers. I don't care what their new name is going to be. It will always be Wildflower. Heading into this season, you got Ryan Fitzmagic and his magical beard, who is going to be taking charge under center as Alex Smith decided to retire. And while their offense could be okay, the real story is going to be that dominant defense and them continuing to get even better. Last year, their defense came on the scene after years of building it up through the draft, and they were pretty damn good. Offense left some to be desired, but I think coming into this season with a veteran like Fitzmagic, he's going to be able to at least make that offense functioning. On top of that, they have some underrated wide receivers, and I think Washington is really going to be a more balanced football team this year, of course, still relying heavily on that defense. So taking a look at games I think they're really going to have a tough time with, I think the Bills, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Buccaneers, and I think most likely a game with the Cowboys are going to give them the most amount of problems. So that would give them a ceiling of about 12-5. Taking a look at the games that I think could go either way, meaning they could win or they could lose. You got the Chargers, you got both games with the Giants, the Falcons, the Saints, and of course the Seattle Seahawks. So if you cut those in half, you would give an average of around 9-8. Now, I think the Giants will be more competitive this year. The Eagles, I don't really have a lot of faith in them at all. Sorry. But saying that they're going to split with the Giants, I think, is fair. Same exact thing with the Cowboys. So I think the Washington football team, while they don't have the easiest schedule, considering they have the best defense in the division, that could potentially lead them to another division title. Then heading over to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I don't have a ton of faith. I know the defensive line was pretty good. I know they got lots of wide receivers that go fast now, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of this is going to be contingent on Jalen Hurts and how he is going to develop. He looked okay, but then again, you had Carson Wentz in there, and he didn't really look so good. There's a lot of nuance going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't know how that nuance is going to translate on the field. Taking a look at games I think they're going to have a really tough time with. You have both games with the Washington football team. On top of that, you have both games with the Cowboys. You have the 49ers. You have the Chiefs. You have the Buccaneers. You have the Chargers I think they'll struggle with. And putting all of those together, I think their ceiling's around 9-8. Now, again, their offense could perform really, really well, and then they could beat teams potentially like the Chargers, and hell, they could potentially even split or sweep the Cowboys. But then if I'm taking the games that could go either way, it gives them an average of around a 7-10 record. I think the Eagles still have some building to do. They could be sleepers this year, but again, I just don't have enough faith and confidence in that team as a whole for them to really achieve a great record. Then you got the New Jersey Giants on the docket, a team that, well, I know 5 Point Vids doesn't have a lot of faith in them. I think the Giants could be good this year. Oh, God, that just felt wrong and dirty. And here's why. That defense really wasn't too bad, especially that secondary down the stretch. On top of that, they're going to have Daniel Jones back there. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to say good things. On top of that, you're going to have Saquon Barkley, who's going to be returning. They have some weapons in Kenny Golladay. Of course, they also got Kadarius Toney, who is going to be a real effective weapon for the Giants, and he provides a little bit of a different skill set for that receiving core. I think what a lot of this is going to come down to is, can that offensive line block? Because if the answer is no, Daniel Jones is going to continue to fumble, and Saquon Barkley is going to continue to get injured. So if the offensive line can stay healthy, they'll be a good football team. Games where I think they'll have a tough time is one against the Washington football team, the Cowboys, the Rams, the Chiefs, and of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if everything goes well besides those 5 games, I'm looking at a 12-5 record. I know I don't think they're going to get it either, but for me, I think that's where their ceiling is. If you take a look at some of those games that could go 50-50, there are a lot of them. So I think their average could be about an 8-9. So that's a drastic swing and a drastic difference, but I think that represents the Giants this year. They could overperform and do really well in a weaker division, or they can continue to be mediocre depending on that offensive line, who might not be able to block anything. So really could go either way. And then finally, you got the Dallas Cowboys. What year are we on now in a row that you said you guys were going to be good? Like 19 or something? The Cowboys basically have all the pieces needed besides defense for them to be successful. The defense leaves a lot to be desired. I know they went and addressed some of that in the draft, but on that offense, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott's returning, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper. There's a lot to be excited about. And while you'll have Scooter saying that they're going to go 17-0, I do not see that. I do have a bet with him that they will not win 15 games, one that I hope to win. The schedule isn't too bad for the Cowboys, and they could be a really good football team, and I would argue are the favorites to win this division. Where I see them having a real tough time are against the Buccaneers. I think they are going to drop a game to the Washington football team and the Chiefs. So with that, I think their ceiling is around 14-3, which still would allow me to win the bet. Now, in terms of an average, if you're looking at games where they could potentially go either way, you look at games like the Chargers, maybe with the Giants, the Patriots. You could also see them struggling potentially with the Cardinals and the Falcons. So if you split those games in half, you're looking at an average of around 11-6, which is the best out of all of these teams in terms of average in the NFC East. So for me, I think the Cowboys are a favorite. Is Mike McCarthy's coaching going to get better? Is Dak Prescott going to be able to remain healthy? How's that offensive line? Because that is going to be a big determinant. But looking at Dak Prescott and all the numbers that he was putting up last year before he got injured, again, the offense is definitely there. So they could just drag the cold, dead carcass of their defense over the finish line and win a division title. The question is, can they actually do that? So if I was to rank this, I would have the Cowboys up top, followed by the Washington football team. A close third, if not tied with second, would be the Giants, and then the Philadelphia Eagles. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think is taking home the East title? Is it going to be as bad as last year? Please don't be. It's embarrassing. But let me know. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at Tom Grossi Comedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at Patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.